Hey guys, Cold here. Welcome to another Racial Legends video. So guys, in this one we'll be going over the new champions that were announced yesterday. We're going to have a new fusion coming next week, and there's going to be a ton of new champions. We're going to go through them and see who's good and who's not, and who's going to be worth it. Of course, until we actually play through with the champions, we can't really know what they do and how good they are. But before we get to that, guys, if you didn't check out the video from yesterday, I'll quickly show you this one. Um, look at my reaction here. Getting my 4th Cupidus. I said, you guys, if I did get over 1,000 likes on that video, that I will be leveling up all of the Cupidus to make a meme team. And it seems that you guys listened, so I guess thank you for listening and watching the whole video. But oh man, it's gonna be a fun one for sure. I've started leveling those up. Okay, so I'm a man of my word. Started leveling those up. I don't have the potions though, so I'll need like 60 superior ones. So I'll wait for Monday to start getting those. I'll get the arcane ones. These are the most painful, and then also getting masteries on all of them, and then getting the chicken. So it's gonna take a while, but stay tuned to the channel, and you're gonna see the meme team with all the Cupidi. It's gonna be fun. So guys, yesterday we had this update 3.3 highlights. Of course, we're gonna have the fitting room. I've said to you guys before on how the fitting room is gonna be. Basically, you'll equip the items in the fitting room, and then you're gonna see what they give you in terms of stats. And if you do want to get those, then you click OK, and then you get charged all the silver. That's fine. So we're gonna have a new fusion starting on Friday. It's gonna be Astralon right here. He looks like a very cool champion to have. I'm excited about this guy. Let me put this on full screen. Excited about this guy. Of course, his skills are not that amazing from what I've seen, but he is gonna be, of course, a cool fusion to get. I get all the fusions that come out, so I don't have a say on if you are gonna get him or not. It really depends on how hard the events and tournaments are. I don't recommend spending if you don't need to for a champion that won't change your play style too much, or your future maybe arena or dungeon progression, or even clown boss progression. So let's look at this guy. He's gonna be magic attack sacred order champion. Attacks one enemy 2 times, 30% chance of placing a 60% decreased defense debuff for 2 turns. Countess Licks will team up with and join the attack if they're on the same team. Countess Licks will use the default skill. Countess Licks will not team up on this attack if the skill is used when counter-attacking or when teaming up to attack with another champion. Okay, so this doesn't work with counter-attack. Yeah. This looks okay. Countess Licks is another legendary champion, so it's going to be hard to get both of them and actually use them for something. It's going to be a new couple to have a power couple. So Divine Imminence attacks one enemy, ignores increased defense, strength, and ally protection buffs. Revives a random ally with 40% HP and places a shield buff on them equal to 20% of the max HP. Also places a shield buff if this attack kills an enemy. Okay, this is a very basic one. Doesn't look that exciting. Depends on the multiplier there, on the amount of damage that it does. Light of Sanctity removes all buffs from targets under Veil or Perfect Veil buff, then places a 25% weaken debuff. If removed, then attacks all enemies. Has a 75% chance of placing a stun debuff on all enemies for 1 turn. 5 turns cooldown. This goes all the way to 100%. So a very good way to counter those teams that have a Perfect Veil. So something like a Duchess Lily 2 team. He's going to help you counter that with the Veil removal. Although because he's magic versus a Cadraphone, he's still going to have the chance to do a weak hit. So I don't like that, honestly. The weak hit part on Cadraphones. Cadraphones are the most menacing champions that have a Veil buff on themselves. So Astralon being magic is not really a counter to Cadraphone. Fills this champion's turn meter by 3% every time an ally is hit. That's cool. Decrease incoming damage by 25% if the attacker's attack is lower than this champion's. Okay, yeah, this is cool for him surviving. I like this one. I like this one as a passive. Definitely like it. Yeah, he looks like a cool champion, but nothing too much on that. I'm of course gonna get him collection wise. So let's go over to the next champion. This guy was leaked a while ago. Nogdar, the Headhunter Spirit attack orc champion. So attacks when enemy, heals the champion by 10% of their max HP, grants an extra turn if this attack kills an enemy. This is gonna be cool. Maybe he can be, a good farmer if this has a high multiplier. So his skill ups are just damage. So if this has a high multiplier, maybe we finally have a champion that can farm Nightmare with his A1. If the AI works like this, we don't know. Attacks all enemies on his A2. After attacking this champion, sacrifice HP equal to 50% of their max HP. Then places 2 15% continuous heal buffs on this champion for 2 turns. The HP sacrifice will happen even if it kills this champion. So this move needs to do way more damage if this does what it says. So a big sacrifice of your HP to do an AoE attack. So it must be a high damaging attack. And then sacrifice HP equal to 50% of this champion's max HP. Then equalizes HP levels with the target enemy. The HP levels of both of this champion and the target will be brought down to the level of the one with the lowest HP. Does not work with bosses. The champion cannot be killed with this skill. 7 turns cooldown. This is okay. I mean, it's a way to bring down an enemy's health and also, you know, equalize the health. You won't be able to kill yourself with this. I guess if you do like A2 then A3, you won't be able to kill yourself with this, and you'll be able to decrease the enemy's turn meter by a big number. But there are very specific times that you need to do this, like maybe against enemies that you have a very bad time in killing. It does not work on bosses, so you can do fun stuff with this. Yeah, I don't see many uses. It's very similar to what Astrolabe has. Headsman's Return revives the champion by 50% HP and 50% turn meter when killed if all other allies are alive. This is fantastic as a passive. I really like this. We don't have anything similar to this so far because it's a revive with 1 turn cooldown, which unless you kill the whole of the team, this guy will not be dying. So I do love this. Does not work if there are multiple Noctars on the team, or if there are 3 or fewer champions on the team. Wait, does not work if there are multiple Noctars on the team, or if there are 3 or fewer champions on the team. 3 or fewer champions. So it needs to be a full team. Yeah, so it needs to be a full team. So you can't have 1 alive and Noctar be dead and revive. So yeah, okay, I get it. 3 or fewer, maybe. Well, you can use this in dungeons. You can have somebody die, and then if Noctar dies, he'll still revive. So that's cool, I guess. Increase ally attack in all battles by 32%. Cool champion, cool passive there. Nothing too crazy. I want to see the multipliers to really understand how much damage this champion does. Samar, Gem Cursed, a legendary spirit HP dwarf champion. Looks very cool, by the way, with just the portrait. Crystal Flesh attacks one enemy, heals by 15% of the damage inflicted if this champion has 50% or less. Okay, this guy, by the way, needs a lot of books. So 7 plus 8, that's a lot. Attacks one enemy, heals for 15% of the damage inflicted. Heals the champion's turn meter. Okay, whatever. Attacks one enemy on his A2. Inflicts bonus damage equal to the difference in HP levels between this champion and the target. Inflicts bonus damage equal to the difference in number of buffs on this champion and the target, plus 10% damage per buff. So if there's a big difference in the HP with your enemy and a big difference in the buffs that you have in your team and the enemy, then you'll be doing way more damage. This is going to be a fun champion to try to get big numbers on for sure, but nothing too much after that because it's a single attack. If this was an AoE, this would have been way cooler. And attacks all enemies on his A3, has an 80% chance of stealing 2 random buffs before attacking. Plays an extra hit on enemies that have any buffs left. Okay, that's cool. And then passive, plays a block damage buff on this champion for 1 turn at the start of each round. Wow, this is so cool. Plays a block damage buff on this champion for 1 turn at the start of each round. And blocks incoming damage and plays a block damage buff on this champion for 1 turn when they receive a hit that would drop their HP below 30%. Wow, this is like a way to save him from certain death almost. But the block damage buff at the start of the round, it's only for 1 turn, so if you have him very fast, he's probably going to go before the enemies go, and basically you lose 1 turn. You lose this, basically. Yeah, so I don't like the passive. The active effect is way better. Increase ally HP in all battles by 30%. Well, yeah, he's mostly for Faction Wars. I'm guessing he's going to be a very helpful champion for Faction Wars, beating down the boss. So Cardiel, he's a Void support, Sacred Order, legendary. Looks very cool, by the way. Cow, the Wicked. Attacks when enemy, heals all allies by 7.5% of their max HP. Also plays a True Fear debuff for 1 turn if the target is a champion from the demon spawn. Oh, this is very specific. I like this. Removes all debuff from all allies, then plays a block debuff buff and revive on death on all allies for 2 turns. The revive on death buffs cannot be removed. This is so cool. He's going to be a better version of Sky Touch with this. So pretty good if you do have him and you want to replace Sky Touch with this guy. Plays a 30% increased critical rate buff and a 30% critical damage buff on all allies for 2 turns. Then teams up with all allies to attack a target enemy. Decreases the cooldown of this skill by 1 turn if an enemy is killed from this attack. Wow, this is so cool. Because not only he's like a Sky Touch, but he's also an all ally attack champion, very similar to Firekin the Fat. So this is so cool. I wonder which skill the AI prioritizes on. So this is so cool, by the way, that he has these two. Out of all these champions so far, this one's the best for sure. Fiend Warden, allies receive 20% less damage from champions from the demon spawn. Okay, whenever an ally attacks, has a 15% chance to team up with them and join their attack. Oh, that's so good. And this goes all the way to 30%. This champion will attack with their default skill. Always joins Cecilia Flametongue's attacks if they're on the same team. Can only join on allies attack once per turn. Cardio will not team up with on ally attacks when they counter attack. Okay. Increase all ally speed on battles by 19%. Very solid Void legendary champion. I would love to get this champion. But yeah, he's gonna be released during the 2x, so maybe if I do get lucky, I'll get him. If not, I'll probably get another Cubitus. So Countess Licks, legendary magic attack demon spawn, so she's used with the fusion champion to do some cool stuff. She applies a weaken on her A1, so the other guy applies a defense down. That's cool. So both of them together will apply both a defense down and a weaken. Mire of Misery attacks all enemies 3 times. Each hit has a 75% chance of placing a 30% decreased speed debuff for 2 turns. Wow, a triple hitting AoE. Each hit has a 75% chance of decreasing the enemy's turn meter by 10%. Very cool. 4 turns cooldown. The books needed are not as many as the other champions, I would say, but still very like a lot. So 5 plus 8, yeah, that's 13. And attacks all enemies 75% chance of placing a block cooldown skills debuff for 2 turns. Also decreases the cooldowns of all ally skills except his champions by 1 turn. This is so cool. He also decreases the cooldown. This is the first time in a while that we got a champion that decreases cooldowns. So yeah, it's been a while since we got a champion that does this. So she is gonna be a good champion for clan boss as well with this, maybe. At a 5 turns cooldown though, so not as good as Painkeeper. Removes 1 random debuff from Astralon and this champion at the start of each turn. Only available if Astralon is on the team. Oh, okay, like a cleanse, very similar to what CV has. Fills this champion's turn meter by 5% each time an ally receives a debuff. Yeah, this is gonna be so hard to tune on clan boss having this champion in there. And then Cecilia Flametongue, legendary force attack demon spawn champion, goes so well with Cardiel there. So yeah, let's see. Attacks one enemy 3 times. Each hit has a 15% chance of increasing the duration of HP burn debuffs from the target by 1 turn. Okay. Attacks all enemies. So with that applies a weaken. Also a decreased defense buff on allies, on enemies that have an HP burn debuff there. Then instantly activates any HP burn debuffs on each target and decreases the duration of those HP burn debuffs by 1 turn. Wow, this is gonna be amazing for the spider. This is gonna be amazing. But she is force, so the spider is spirit, so she's gonna be doing weak hits with this. Oh man. Plays an HP burn debuff on this champion for 3 turns, then attacks all enemies on this champion. Has a 75% chance of placing HP burn debuff on all enemies for 3 turns. Grants an extra turn if HP burn debuff is placed on all enemies. Very nice. Very nice. So if you don't get any weak hits, then you'll also get an extra turn and then maybe go for this A2. Ah, this is wonderful. Okay. But again, on Spider, this is going to be a weak hit in there and break this. Increase this champion's speed by 3 and damage inflicted by 3% for each ally and enemy under an HP burn debuff. If Cardiel's on the team, all allies will heal by 3% of their max HP from HP burn debuffs instead of receiving damage and losing HP. So nice, so nice. But we need a very similar thing on a new champion. But for poisons, it's going to help a lot with the Nether Spider. Increase ally accuracy in all battles by 60. Yeah, a cool champion. Out of all these legendaries, I think Cardiel is the best one. And the one that I'm hoping to pull anytime in the future. Next up is Runekeeper Das Dirk. So this one's a void support dwarf champion. Leech on the A1, increase attack on all allies for 2 turns on the A2. Then it fills the turn meters of all allies by 25%. Very nice. Both a boost and a feel. A boost of your attack and a feel of your turn meter. And then the A3 removes all debuffs from all allies, then heals them. Plays a continuous heal buff on anybody that has something removed. So this is a cool cleanse action, and an aura for 25% attack. Okay, Void. Good for faction wars for sure. Helps out the faction. This one I think is the best one in terms of epics. Spirit support, the Sacred Order. Attacks one enemy 2 times. Leech. Pretty good. Then next up, attacks all enemies. 80% chance of placing in a 60% decreased defense. Debuff for 2 turns. Fantastic. It goes all the way to 100%. If you do book this one out, you're gonna need at least 4 books here. So 6 plus 5, that's 11 plus 2, that's 13 books. Epic books that you're gonna need to fully book this one out. Okay, I don't like booking something to apply the decreased defense since we've got War Maiden and all. But let's look at time compression. Fills the turn meters of all allies by 15% and decreases the turn meters of all enemies by 15%. Grants an extra turn. So what I think about this, if I manage to get this champion on my free brew account, guys, probably this guy does his A3 on auto first. So fills the turn meters of all allies. Then decreases the turn meters of all enemies. You're going to have accuracy. Get an extra turn. Once you have an extra turn, you go for that A2. You apply a decreased defense. So you basically do what my Haikatoon will do, and also decrease the turn meter of enemies, and also apply a decreased defense. Fantastic. Although he's Spirit, so he is going to have an issue versus Magic champions, which is the majority of Arena Magic and Force. He's going to be a cool addition, I think, for my teams. At least on the free brew account, if I do get him. And then Gwarkan, the Crowned. Okay, let's look at this one. Spirit support, Lizardman. I think he was licked as well in the past. Attacks one enemy. 30% chance of increasing the duration of a random buff on a random ally for 1 turn. Okay, heals all allies by 15% of their max HP. Places a shield on them. That's fine. And then Attunement. Place a perfect veil buff and a 50% increase attack buff on all allies whose attack is higher than their defense. Increase defense on whose defense is higher than their attack. Okay. Oh yeah, this is a good support on the Lizardman. Definitely is going to help for both faction wars and also the Doom Tower. The Doom Tower Secret Room, the heart at least. So that's going to be a cool champion to have and test out. Pestilus is another epic spirit champion. Support, Knight's Revenant. Attacks 2 times at random. Leech. Okay. And then attacks one enemy, has a 50% chance of placing HP burn debuff for 2 turns. Heals all allies by 15% of their max HP if the HP burn debuff is placed. Fills the turn meter of all allies by 15% if the HP burn debuff is not placed. Okay, so maybe this guy doesn't need accuracy. I don't know. Increase accuracy buff and a 30% increase critical damage buff on all allies for 2 turns. I like these buffs. The increase accuracy buff, I always like these. And increase ally accuracy in Doom Tower by 50. So he's going to be a Doom Tower champion, obviously. Lodric, Falconheart, Sacred Order, Spirit. Many Sacred Order champions, it seems. Decrease attack on the A1. Cool. Removes all debuffs from one ally. Then places a 50% ally protection buff on that ally for 2 turns. Cool for the clan boss for sure so far. Places shield buff on all allies for 2 turns. Equal to 20% of this champion's max HP. For 4 turns cooldown, goes all the way to 2 turns cooldown. A good champion. So it seems for that Scarab King, you need a shield buffer that does this on the same cooldown as the shield duration. So this one's going to be a good one if you're having issues with the Scarab King. But don't get angry just yet, because I think we have a rare that does the same thing. So Fodbor, the Bard, Epic Spirit Attack Dwarf Champion. Attacks one enemy 3 times. You apply the heal reduction. A2 attacks one enemy. 80% chance of stealing 2 random buffs from the target. Has an 80% chance of playing a stun debuff for 1 turn instead if the target has no buffs. Nice. So you stun instead of stealing buffs. I love this. Love this. Yeah, but it's only if they don't have any buffs on them. And then the A3 awful crooning attacks all enemies, 75% chance of placing a decreased defense debuff for 2 turns. Yeah, like this as well. But the book situation is the biggest issue with all these. Godseeker, Aneri, Void Defense, Sacred Order, again, epic champion. Looks cool. Blade of Blessings attacks when enemy, heals the ally with the lowest HP by 5% of their max HP. Cannot heal this champion. Okay, attacks all enemies, heals all allies by 15% of their max HP, then decreases the duration of all buffs on all enemies by 1, increases the duration of all buffs on all allies by 1 turn. Very good to have this kind of skills that increase the duration of buffs. Revives the dead ally with 50% HP and then fills the turn meter by 50% and resets the cooldown of their skills. Wow, brand new thing. We've never had this thing before of a revive plus turn meter boost plus cooldown reduction. Okay, maybe this can be used in maybe some cool ways in the clan boss. Maybe resetting a champion like a Maneater's, unkillable buff. But then you'll also need to have them die. I don't know. It sounds cool, by the way. Passive effect: the Guardian Angel increases the amount of healing allies receive by 10%. Nice. If an ally is about to get killed by a fatal hit, preempts the hit and instantly places a revive and death buff on them for 1 turn before the damage is taken. Very, very nice. I love this passive. This one's so good. Godseeker and Eerie. Gonna be helpful for the arena as well, especially against those nuker hegemons. So she's gonna help them revive. Wow. Loving this one. Your ally is gonna revive, and even if he dies again, revives the dead ally with this. So this skill is gonna help them come back to full. Next up is Clawed Beast Feeder, Ogren Tribes Magic Champion. Decreased critical rate on the A1, shield buff on all allies on the A2, but this is a 3-turn cooldown when booked. Beast Escape, increased speed debuff, buff for 30% and a 50% increased accuracy buff on all allies for 2 turns. Very long cooldown on this one. Heals the ally with the lowest HP by 10% of their max HP at the start of this champion's turn. Yeah, I guess this is a cool heal. Next up is Prundar, Epic Void Defense, Ogren Tribes Champion. Tax one enemy, 30% chance of placing a decreased speed debuff for 2 turns. That's cool. 30% chance of placing a stun debuff for 1 turn instead when counterattacking with this skill. Tax all enemies, 50% chance of placing a provoke debuff. Places a 60% increased defense buff on this champion for 2 turns. Places a 25% strengthened buff and 15% continuous heal buff on all allies for 2 turns. And provoke receives 20% damage from provoke debuffs, debuffed enemies. Yeah, I don't really care about this champion. The reason is, look at all these books. Okay, so 7 plus 7, that's 14. 15 plus 5, that's 20 epic skill books. Like, if you get 1 per day at best case scenario from a clan boss, you're gonna need 20 days of perfect luck to get this guy booked. And is he worth it? I don't think so. Wow, I just hate this champion. Okay, Tarzan needs way less books. Provoke debuff for 1 turn at 25% chance. Okay, weaken as an AoE. Okay, increased defense buff on all allies for 2 turns. Fills the turn meter of all allies by 20%. Okay, this one I like as a boost. And then 25% strengthen buff on this champion for 2 turns whenever their health, I guess, drops below 50%. Yeah, a cool support champion for Demon Spawn. We don't really need the Demon Spawn support. There's so many good champions in the Demon Spawn faction. Then we go to the rares. Finally, we're going to have 4 rares needed for the fusion. It's probably going to be like 4 rares for 1 epic. And that's going to be repeated all the time. So for dwarves, we have this force rare attack. Attacks one enemy 2 times. Each hit has a 15% chance of placing the decreased speed. Increased critical rate buff and increased critical damage buff on this champion for 2 turns. Grants an extra turn. Attacks one enemy will ignore 30% of the target's HP. Defense. So, yeah, just a damage dealer rare. I don't know about his multipliers, but I'm guessing they're not that high. Although he does get nice boosts. Next up is Scrapper. Scrapper is the rare void champion that I think is going to be cool. Let's look at his skills. So attacks one enemy Barbarian faction, by the way. Attacks when an enemy plays a shield buff on this champion for 2 turns equal to the damage inflicted at 5%. If this attack is critical, so you're gonna need to have him at 100% crit. Then, next up, attacks when enemy destroys the target's max HP by 30% of the damage dealt. Places a shield buff on this champion for 2 turns equal to 30% of this champion's max HP if this attack is critical. So you can take this to 2 turns cooldown. He's going to be a perfect champion for the Scarab if you're having issues in there, but he's not a buffer to your whole team. So yeah, you're just going to need to use him. If you're having issues, maybe he can solo it, but I don't think he can solo the hard version of it. Increase the damage inflicted by this champion equal to the percentage of max HP destroyed on the target. Definitely Scarab King Killer, and then increase ally attack on the Doom Tower by 25%. And then we've got 2 more guys. Abyssal Rare Spirit Support Demon Spawn Champion attacks all enemies, 15% chance of block buffs, heals all allies by 15% of their max HP, increase defense buff, and a 20% increase attack buff on all allies for 2 turns. Not that amazing so far. Increase ally speed on faction wars crypts by 16%. Wow. Yeah, these are okay. And then Flailer attacks one enemies, 25% chance of decreasing the target's turn meter by 10%. Increase defense buff on this champion. Also fills this champion's turn meter by 25%. Yeah, dwarves. I always like to see support dwarves, but provoke. Yeah, out of all the rares, I think this one's the best. Out of the epics, there's, I think, 2 epics that caught my eye. And out of the legendaries, maybe 2 of them are good. Especially the Void legendary is the best one. And then finally, we're going to have some changes in the tag team arena. I don't like this. This change is very, very bad. I hope on Monday they listen to us when we tell them, don't do it. Please don't do it. It's going to suck. It's going to make the tag team even worse than it currently is. And they're going to do some miscellaneous quality of life changes and the clan boss keys for whoever buys any of those packs. So this was the video, guys, in terms of going through all the new champions. As I said, some of them are good, some of them are bad. The biggest thing to take away from this is you're going to need a ton of books, so don't spend them if you see any of these champions and you get them, because you're going to need a ton of books. There's no way to get the books with certainty so far in the game, just clan boss and wishing. Even the Doom Tower now, they've made it even harder to get the books. So the game is taking a bad turn. So I hope they listen to the community and take a step back, reduce the book requirements of some of these champions, and just listen to the community, because they make some of these things worse, and I'm not liking it personally. Put down in the comments your opinion, what you think about this. And guys, yeah, we'll see what the actual developers tell us on Monday, all the way up to Friday when the patch comes out. Thank you guys for watching this video. Subscribe if you haven't already, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. I'm also going to be releasing a free brew video later on today, so be sure to subscribe if you want to see that as well.